Over time, he has become an ardent backer of my research, and coincidentally, Italy has imported First Lady into its lexicon. He richly deserves the dedication. New York City, October 1st, 2018. Introduction. Like many historians of women's records, I was not initially attracted to the prospect of writing a book on presidents' wives. Hilary Clinton had not yet made the kind of headlines that encourage serious discussion of the job of First Lady. What value could there be in studying a group of women united only by the fact that their husbands had held the same job? The 1970s and 1980s had finally focused attention on women who achieved on their own. Who, then, would want to read about women who owed their space in history books to the men they married? If presidents' wives had remained footnotes to history, perhaps that was what they deserved. My curiosity was piqued when I looked at what had been published on the subject. Even a cursory reading of the standard reference work on women revealed a striking pattern among presidents' wives. Most of them came from social and economic backgrounds significantly superior to those of the men they married. Many of the women wed in spite of strenuous parental objection to their choices, and some of the men were younger than their brides. Recurring phrases hinted that the women assumed more control over their lives than I had imagined, and I began to wonder if I had mistakenly assigned them a free and easy ride alongside their prominent husbands. Several of the wives had eased the financial burdens of their households by managing family farms, teaching school, and working as secretaries after their marriages. Other information pointed to a pattern of early exposure to politics, and I was struck by the number of uncles, fathers, and grandfathers who had at one time held political office. Perhaps the women deserved a closer look. As soon as I examined the women's unpublished letters, I was intrigued. Who could read Lucretia Garfield's poignant puzzlings in the 1850s about what being a wife meant, and not then go on to learn how her marriage turned out? What about the indomitable Sarah Polk, whose blunt letters and letters of others singled out as particularly opinionated and astute? Who would not want to read what the magazines of the 1840s said about her? Was the handwritten memorandum on the subject of Mary Lincoln's insanity trial to be believed? What about the mysterious Eliza Johnson, who was much maligned as a Hill woman of little education? Why did her son, then enrolled at Georgetown, write her a beautifully penned, grammatically perfect letter and ask her to excuse the mistakes? These and dozens of other questions arose. I was encouraged by the amount of material available. Because of the prominence of their husbands, First Ladies left more complete records than most of their contemporaries. Evidence on mid-19th century presidents' wives is rather scant, but even the little-known Eliza Johnson, wife of the first president to be impeached, had her biographer, who went after information about Eliza like a detective intent on solving a crime. Several First Ladies, including Julia Grant, Helen Taft, Edith Wilson, and most of those who lived in the White House after 1963, published their memoirs. I was convinced that all this record-keeping could help elucidate not only the First Ladies' lives, but also the lives of their countrywomen. A few dozen examples from 2 centuries of American history cannot be taken to represent all women. No one would claim that they do. But where else could a researcher find so much material about women who moved consecutively through American history? A handful of presidents' wives achieved great